anything goes. Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Timely Action Hour. This is the show where we talk about everything from comic books to video games and everything in between. My name is Aiden, and I hope that you're doing well today. So, in this video, I'm going to be doing a review of Whiz Comics number 2. Now, this obviously is a reprint. I am not a millionaire, so I could not afford an original copy, even if I found one. But I paid around 12 Canadian dollars for this at Toronto Fan Expo 2025. And as you can tell, this is the first appearance of Captain Marvel. Now, this is a facsimile edition, so it includes the other stories that were in this book, as well as the original advertisements. But I want to focus on Captain Marvel's story here. So, this was originally published in December of 1939 by Fawcett Comics. And the Captain Marvel story was written by Bill Parker and illustrated by C.C. Beck. Now, I've discussed this before briefly, but since, it's a dedicated video, I'll go more in depth than I have, although I still don't know all of the details. But essentially, in the 1940s, as Captain Marvel grew in popularity, he got his own series, and his sidekick, Captain Marvel Jr., also got his own series, and they grew in popularity. They got a radio show and a film serial, and National Allied Publications, who would later become DC Comics, saw that Captain Marvel was eerily similar to their headliner, that being Superman, and so they sued Fawcett Comics. And eventually the judge ruled that the character is indeed a ripoff of Superman, and because of that, Fawcett, had to pay a lot of money, and DC eventually bought the rights to their superhero characters. So not just Captain Marvel, but Spy Smasher, who also appears in this, Bullet Man, and a few others. But essentially, DC would then own Captain Marvel, and then they would publish their own series. But by that point, Marvel, Timely Comics in this period, but by then Marvel Comics had trademarked the name Marvel, and they got involved with the legalese so that they could create their own character named Captain Marvel. That's a whole bit, but DC and Marvel both share Captain Marvel, the name, but DC owns the original. And in more recent years, so because of that, DC had to publish the character under the title Shazam, which is the name of the series, but they would still call the character Captain Marvel in the stories. But in 2011, when DC rebooted, they decided to just rename him Shazam. But in more recent years, 2026, I saw a few months ago that they started calling him Captain Marvel again, and I'm like, thank God. But let's go get into Captain Marvel's origin story so that we know, if you don't already know, who this character is, what makes him tick, and what makes him so special. Now, like I said, this came out in 1939, so the year previous was when Superman debuted, and also in 1939 we saw a boom because DC also created Batman, and Marvel created both the Submariner and the Human Torch, and then there's another publisher called Fox Comics which created Blue Beetle, who would later be bought by Charlton Comics, who in turn would be later bought by DC. But 1939 is when we started to see an uptick in superhero characters after Superman's popularity the year before. But getting into the actual story here, and let me take this out of the bag. So here we have a closer look at the cover. I love the vibrant colors. And this is one of the other stories, but I just wanted to show you some of the beautiful artwork in here. But the story of Captain Marvel follows a 10-year-old boy named Billy Batson, who is an orphan living on the street, and he survives by selling newspapers in front of the subway station, and a mysterious man comes up to him and says, "Come with me." And apparently during the Great Depression there was no stranger danger. They get on a strange train on the subway, and it takes them to this cavern where we see these weird statues representing the 7 deadly sins. And Billy meets an old man in this cavern who is a wizard known as Shazam.
I was hoping this moment could wait until you were a bit older. Alas, the threat is upon us now, Billy Batson.
You know my name?
Oh, I know many things, for I am the Wizard Shazam.
Basically, the old man is dying, and he says, "I have been watching you your whole life, Billy. You are a good boy, and you have great potential within you. No matter what your humble beginnings, you have the trappings of a hero." So we learn that Billy's mother and father died, and his uncle threw him out onto the street so that he could inherit the money that Billy's father had left for him, and that's how he wound up in his predicament. But Shazam says, "Okay, look at this acronym on the wall. These are the names of various figures throughout history and mythology, and they, form my name. So when you say my name, you will be imbued with these powers, and you can go forth and fight evil." So he has the wisdom of Solomon, the king of Israel during biblical times, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. So those are Greek and Roman gods. And then this massive granite block, which was hanging above them, crushes the wizard, and when Billy says the name, he becomes Captain Marvel. And after the wizard dies and he changes back, he goes back to where he was before, and he's like, that's strange. Now the plot of the story, after we get the origin, is there's this mad scientist who wants to hold the radio waves, airwaves hostage and destroy the radio network, and Billy follows these two guys who are talking about how they work for him. He follows them. He's like, okay, so they went in there. Let me go and talk to this guy who owns one of the radio stations, who's in the same building, and he's like, I have a lead on who this mad scientist is. If you give me a job, I'll let you know all the details. And the guy's like, well, if you get me, proof, then I'll give you a job. And so Billy follows the other guys to another location changes into Captain Marvel, and he sees them through the window talking to this guy on a TV screen. And television was invented in 1925. It just didn't become widely accessible until, the 40s, but it's a nice detail here. But he sees them talking on this TV to their boss, and his name is Thaddeus Sivana. So Doctor Sivana, Captain Marvel's arch nemesis, already introduced in the first story, but his plan is to, hold it ransom, and if at midnight he doesn't get paid, then he'll destroy the radio network. But Captain Marvel crashes through the window, destroys the machine that would do it, beats up the bad guys, and calls the police, and that's that. And then he gets the job. And that is how Captain Marvel made his first appearance. But yeah, I really like the story. It's simple but very well written in my opinion. And the artwork is very good in my opinion. I know that a lot of people dismiss Golden Age comic book art because it's dated or simplistic or whatever, but I really enjoy it in my personal taste. Again, same with the storytelling and writing, but again, to each their own. But yeah, let me know what you think if you've read this story, or just your general thoughts on how well I explained it to you. But yeah, that's all I have for you today on this video for the National Timely Action Hour. If you enjoyed it, then please click the like button. If you're new to my show, please subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when I post new videos. If you're on your mobile device, then please click the hype button, which is a new feature, and please share this with your friends if they're interested in this sort of content. And in the description of this video, I'll leave a link to my Patreon page and merch store, so if you'd like to support this show financially, I'd greatly appreciate that. And also in the description, you'll find the links to my social media profiles, so you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and Discord if you'd like to send me a message or just stay up to date on my channel. And you'll also find a link to my podcast where I discuss the same topics just in the audio format. And yep. Thank you once again for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I sincerely appreciate you, and I sincerely hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye.